This is Christopher Swat, right? Graystack Media.
I am Nick Uniejewski, and I am a Democrat running for state senate here in the 6th District. So this is one of my favorite bars in the neighborhood. It's Roscoe's, and this place is kind of central to the queer community here in North Halstead, Boys Town.
This is actually a really cool bar. I noticed there is a dance floor back there.
There is.
This place, I bet, like gets packed.
They are known for many, many things, but specifically in the back, they do a lot of drag race events.
Oh, cool.
So not only do they, watch the show in the back during the weekly show, but they also have the queens come in from previous seasons and local queens too. So they have drag competitions here, and on top of it all, they're also very good community partners. So they have a lot of, like Stonewall Sports has a lot of events here, and a lot of other groups too. So
I grew up in Colorado, but we had a bar, and I can't remember the name of it. It's in Uptown. It's in a neighborhood in Denver called Uptown, and they were like famous for their drag shows. Is this kind of like how this sits in Chicago, or not really?
I'd say so. And beyond me just simply loving this bar, this has a role in our campaign too. We have done these things that I call salons, right? Grassroots community meetings with 10 to 15 people at a time, but we had our 100th one here.
Oh, wow, okay.
And
that's awesome.
Brought together a lot of neighbors and community members and a lot of the groups that were endorsing us at the time. And since then, that was back over the summer, we've now done 250 salons.
Oh, wow.
So we are having a lot of fun doing it, but this place is a great gathering place and I love them.
Did you host it right here?
In this very space, yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Did they open the bar for you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's fire. Now, the salon is like a community talk format that you kind of set up, or what? How do the salons work?
Well, in some ways they are where you can get your hair and your nails done, but not the ones that I host.
Okay.
So the term itself is rooted in history. Gertrude Stein used to do these on art. Ben Franklin used to do them on democracy and the future of our country, and I do them to talk about things like housing or healthcare, transit, you name it. And I first started doing them because my background's in organizing. And I realized that there's so many good people around all of us all the time that don't know each other, and they should. And way too often in political spaces, you can meet and you can gather and network with people, but you're gonna pay $1,000 for an event.
Sure.
And I said that is a barrier for way too many people. So I just started hosting them at my house.
Okay.
And then by the time Trump won again in November 2024, it became so clear to me that all the fights ahead are gonna be rooted here at the state and local level. So where is our leadership? We can't just talk about the issues, we got to do something about it.
Sure.
And our state senator was nowhere to be found.
Okay.
She was not passing legislation. She's not active in the community. And so here I am now, running for office, which is the craziest thing I've ever done.
Okay.
But we deserve better leaders here. And for me, the salons really shaped me into who I am, but also it's informing me what the district needs.
Sure. Yeah, because you get to have like an active and participatory style discussion with a group of people. It's probably like, I don't know a lot of people hosting this format, so I think it's kind of unique, right?
I'd say so. I mean, this is
at least to our region.
I can say we have done 250 salons in the last year. Okay. We have knocked on 55,000 doors.
Sure.
I dare you to find anyone in the state of Illinois working harder on the ground than we are.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
Yes, so I'm running in the primary against the incumbent, who's been in office for over 30 years. They've never had an opponent before. Okay. And I think we can do a lot more at the state level. I think we need Democrats now who will throw a punch.
Okay.
Against,
physically?
I mean, yeah. But against the federal government and all the evil, hateful things they're doing, but also against the status quo here that just is not meeting the moment.
Okay. Now, you said the running for state senate is the craziest thing you've ever done. Why do you say that?
It is being more visible than really anything I've ever done before. Okay. My background's in organizing, yes, but I also used to run campaigns. And so I was always the person behind the scenes. I got my start when Trump got elected the first time. And my whole plan was to be a celebrity book ghostwriter.
Okay.
I was an English major,
sure.
So I wanted to write other people's stories for them. And then by the time he got elected, back in 2016, I thought, you know what, let's take that love of storytelling and bring it to community organizing. And so I got involved in campaigns and realized how much I loved it. And now, yes, this is the craziest thing I've done because it is running against the entire establishment. But we got the people at our backs because the people overwhelmingly want change. And so when you look at a lot of the structures in place, in Illinois, we have a full Democratic supermajority, right? We have the House, Senate, great governor, but a lot of these issues, they still persist. Cost of housing keeps going up. We have a transit system that is kind of still rooted in the past. Corporate money is dictating everything these legislators do. And I am running a completely different model for what the Democratic Party could be. It behooves everybody in the state party to listen to people like me and all the people in our neighborhoods that want change. So it's crazy, yes, but it's also a lot of fun.
Okay. What's the most like surprising or even just fun part of the campaign that you're experiencing?
Oh, it's the people. It is the people all day long, every day. I was out knocking on doors tonight in this neighborhood in Lakeview, and the top thing people say, we have knocked on 55,000 doors. That has never been done to have this kind of organizing on the north side. People have never been asked what they think about the issues.
Okay.
And in a way, that's kind of sad, right? It's, oh, what do you mean? Nobody in any level of government has ever asked you, hey, what do you think?
Sure.
And they tell me, pretty frankly, that we got to build more housing so it's more affordable for people to live here and stay. We have to modernize our transit systems. They want better governance to root out corruption, the corporate money, and get new energy, new ideas in there. So that is the most dynamic thing for me, and it's all across the entire district, from Gold Coast to Lakeview to Buena Park, where I live, out to North Center, Lincoln Square, all over. All demographics, all backgrounds, people want change.
Okay, now you said your opponent has never been challenged, as in never been primaried?
Correct.
So this is the first primary challenge in 30 some years?
This district, beyond the incumbent, has never had a contested primary since 1972.
Okay.
So it's time.
Yeah.
That was the last time, 1972, that voters in this district had an option for what kind of Democrat they wanted. And a lot has changed since then. Demographics of the district, the needs of the district, but also the way we do politics has changed a lot. And I'm running an organizing heavy operation here because that's what I think this moment demands.
That's fair. Now, did you grow up in the district?
I grew up in the southwest suburbs in Orland Park, and I moved to the city nearly a decade ago now because I love it here. I love living by the lake. I run and bike everywhere all the time. It's my favorite recreational part here. I also love the great bars and restaurants like this place, Roscoe's, but truly more than anything, I love the people. The people is what really compelled me to not only move here, but to stay here. This is where I want to build the rest of my life. It's a great place here on the north side, and I think everyone should have the ability to continue to live here as long as they want.
Sure, yeah, it is a great neighborhood. Now, even this is like, I'm not putting the weight of this question on you, but it's something we can talk about. Even if you don't take corporate money and high net worth money is still going to influence policy outcomes in the state house. It's like, how do you balance that out if all the other candidates or, all the other people that are in the state Senate or, the General Assembly are influenced by, elite interest?
It would be nice to get 15 more of me elected. However, would
that marginalize elite interest?
I don't think so. I think there's a lot of people in the state Senate and in the state House too that recognize the moment we're in. One of the things I want to do is challenge insurance companies. I really hope that we can get universal health care at the federal level, but even here in the state, we need to challenge these insurance companies that are requiring prior authorization for prescriptions that are life-saving. I've had to challenge my own insurance company for things like that. We also can create a prescription drug affordability board. And there's a good moment in this state right now to really do a lot with our Democratic Party. And there's a bill in Springfield that would do it. I support it. Our current state senator does not. And it's about building coalitions to ultimately get stuff done. And that's something I've been doing through my past as an organizer, working in the pro-choice movement, working in city government. And that's a skill I already have. It's now just something I want to do as a state senator. And even as a candidate, there's a lot of people in the state legislature who are already playing ball with me. They are already working with me on, okay, if we are going to pass a piece of legislation on this one tiny thing on housing, how can we get it done? And already having those conversations.
That's awesome. Okay. Now, if you like described your platform to people that haven't met you yet, even though I'm assuming there's not a lot right now, but like for people that might be just like seeing this for the first time, what's like a kind of basic way that you would describe your platform?
It's about affordability and challenging the status quo.
Okay.
A lot of the things I talk about are universal, but it's certainly about housing. We need to build more housing. And when I say that, it's things like zoning reform statewide, so we can legalize the housing that really is missing right now. People want to buy a home, but they can't because that middle housing doesn't exist, or they're longtime owners or renters getting priced out of the neighborhoods we all love.
Sure.
So we can do zoning reform statewide to legalize things like coach houses and 4 flats by right, kind of help with that soft density so people can afford to, buy a home in the neighborhoods we love. But then also go after a lot of the bad actors too, like private equity that buy up a ton of housing right now and either don't sell it or they rent it out and they price gouge people because they can.
Sure.
And so I want to put some guardrails in place, both for property taxes, so we have them indexed to the rise of inflation, for instance. Same thing can happen with rising rents, where you say, okay, fine, if you're a landlord, you can raise it, okay, but not beyond this threshold. And then ultimately, things like construction code reform too, which, fun and exciting, I know, but things like staircases and elevators, we can update that to meet the moment too.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of those policies are super practical. What, from your perspective, what's the issue with private equity like in this region?
It's that they buy buildings and then price gouge people.
Okay.
And most of the landlords in Chicago are like those small landlords, you would say, like that own the 3 flats or the 4 flats. The problem is the private equity, because when we have people here that want to stay, but then all of a sudden they get their rent jacked up by 40%, there's just simply no guardrails in place. And so when you have that happening, plus housing not being built at the pace it needs to, that's kind of the problem. So we can learn from other cities and states that have had similar issues, like Vancouver actually has a great model where they said, okay, you know what? If you are going to buy up 10 units of housing, you will have the right to do that, but we're going to charge you 20% for your property taxes, 30% if you have a 3rd property, 40% if you have a 4th property. And so that would be a collaboration between both the state and the county ultimately here to go after those bad actors so we can actually get housing on the markets of people who live there, not always just investors.
That's interesting. Geez, okay. I'm progressive adjacent, but I know that like we have a lot of private equity-esque influence in Chicago. And, in the region, I assume most of your district's in the city of Chicago, right?
It all is.
It all is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like, how do you think you'll like balance out the pressures of different communities in your district that may like parts of the platform, but, may feel singled out by other parts of it?
Well, that's the importance of primaries, right? We are at this moment of saying, what does it mean to be a Democrat right now? And of all the 15 issues people can choose from for why or why not to vote for me, it's a matter of cobbling together, okay, well, like, what are my top prioritized issues? So for a thing like housing, for instance, there's a lot of nuance in what we can do, but that's why I host the 250 salons, because I want to truly listen to people, and I want people to challenge me too. I want to learn from people. So they might not agree with me on every single thing, but they will at least know that I'll hear them out.
Sure.
And of course, this district covers the north side of Chicago, right? It covers places like Lincoln Park, Lakeview, North Center. Ultimately, to pass things into law, you got to be able to play in the sandbox with everybody else across the state. And on housing, the issues we face are statewide, because the thing is with like private equity, we are 300,000 housing units short in the state of Illinois. Okay. We certainly have a problem here in Chicago, but we also have one in Bloomington Normal. We have one in Champaign. We have one in Rockford. So the issues we face are not really unique here.
Sure.
They're more universal. And so when I talk to other legislators, no matter where they represent, it's about understanding the urgency of this moment, which the governor has already identified. Years ago, the governor put out a few task force reports and committee reports saying, hey, General Assembly, here are 10 bills that I need. And the legislature has sent him 0. So you need better people in office that will want to challenge the status quo and do things differently.
Okay. Now, obviously the governor's family made their money off of real estate investments.
It's funny enough, I knocked on his door.
You did? Did he answer?
No, but the state police did.
Were they friendly?
They were friendly. They were friendly, good people.
Okay. So like I know housing is a big issue that you're focused on. Healthcare. Are there other issue areas or just things that are important to you that you want people to understand more about?
In this district, we also have more people that take transit to work than anywhere else in the state. So,
Sure.
And for me, it's also personal. I don't have a car.
Yeah,
So,
me either.
Yeah, so how I get around is either on the CTA, on the metro if I'm going further out, or on my bike.
Okay.
So what I would love to see at the state level, we passed a really fantastic bill to give funding to our transit agencies. Now we have to implement it, and that's the hard, difficult part, because most policies do fail in implementation. So what I would love to see is modernizing our transit at the same time. I want a bus lane on Lakeshore Drive, which is governed in part by the state. So we can actually get that to happen. We've talked about it for a decade. There's been not enough momentum there. I also want Metro to stop using diesel locomotives.
Okay.
We can get additional money from the states. They can get either battery-powered ones, or we can be even bolder and electrify some of the lines where we can, like the UP North lines,
Sure.
or the Rock Island line heading south. And then also, we have to use state capital funds beyond just roads. We need safer streets up here across the board, specifically for cyclists, because we have more pedestrian deaths here than most other parts of the state.
Okay.
So we need concrete dedicated bike lanes on major corridors, so it's safer for cyclists, also kids getting to and from school here, and drivers alike, so they don't have to scan back and forth on multiple sides of the road. Those are really what I am focused on.
Okay.
And it's about understanding that we can't just continue to plan cities and other places in the state too around cars. You have to do it around people
Yeah.
and the needs of now, which are changing.
I see that. I don't drive. Like, some people think it's weird, but like, do you agree with me that like in this area it's pointless?
Well, I sold my car because I just simply wasn't driving as much as I used to.
Yeah.
And we have an excellent transit system here.
Sure.
It can be even better, but we have the bones of an excellent one. And you can get around really wherever you need to go on a train, on a bus, or if you really needed to, you could rent a car in a pretty easy fashion here.
Sure.
You can get around pretty easily without a car.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, it does sound like a foreign concept, but in a place like the north side of Chicago, we have not only a great transit system, we have a lot of express buses to and from downtown. We have the Brown Line, we have the Red Line, which is not the same in every other part of the city. So if we're going to have our transit system really beefed up with this new funding, we have to keep equity in mind too, to make sure we have that kind of access with the express buses, with the trains on a more frequent basis in all parts of the city and the state.
Okay, that's fair. Anything else that you want people to know about you, or anything that doesn't come out in the campaign or policy conversation?
Well, I am around all the time, and I want people to feel free to come to our events, because the salons are open invite to anybody all the time. And in these last few weeks of the campaign now, we are in the final sprint to March 17th.
Sure.
Right? This is the first time in 54 years that people will be able to vote for what kind of Democrat do we want. And I think that is one who fights like hell for our most vulnerable neighbors, centering the needs of people who live here right now. And we've seen ICE in our streets here in Lincoln Park. They're taking construction workers. They kidnapped a daycare teacher from North Center. They tackled a WGN journalist right not too far away from here. And so you need people in office who will fight hard. We should not be settling for second best. And at the state level, that's where all these fights are going to be for the next few years. So you got to have people who are around. You will probably know my name because I will just be out all the time. I'll continue to knock on doors. You will see me on my bike. You will see me at a place like here, because that's what I think a legislator should do. Be present.
Maybe your salons will take the format of like some type of community engagement, or do you plan to continue that kind of like thing?
Yes.
You get elected?
Yes, because that's how you design policies that can actually work.
Okay.
How I talk to you is how I talk to everybody, and we cannot just continue speaking in this consultant-based language all the time. We can have a better future if we elect people willing to fight for it. And I think the best policies are designed by people closest to the problems.
Sure.
You ask them, hey, what do you need? And then you design stuff around that. And so the salons are a crucial element to who I am. It's also going to be who I am as a state senator, too. Always in the community, not just flying in 2 months before Election Day, actually doing the work year round.
Okay. And is that something that your opponent is known for?
You know, we can do a lot better at the state level here.
Yeah.
And my philosophy is that the Democratic Party is at a reckoning right now. We are in a pretty bad shape in terms of popularity across the country. In 2024, every single ward in Chicago shifted more toward Republicans,
Okay.
with the exception of mine, the 46th ward.
Okay.
But you have to look in the mirror and say, hey, why? And maybe the problem is us. And so we are designing a different kind of Democratic Party here, one that is really rooted in community. And when I first started hosting the salons, there were a lot of people in the state legislature who were asking around. They're like, wait, he doesn't charge people any money
Okay.
to go to these things? No. Wait, he's doing them just like for fun? Yes, I am.
Sure.
And that is exactly how we got in this precarious place right now. By encouraging people to only get involved if they can give you money,
Okay.
only flying in 2 months before Election Day, and then really never being around talking to people that live here.
Sure.
So we are running a different kind of operation here because it truly is about compassion and empathy for your neighbor and listening more than anything.
But do you think this redefines the Democrat Party, or do you think it gets watered down as it becomes a part of the Democratic Party?
You have to really be consistent in year-round organizing, right? And so I think that what I want to do is, of course, win an election on March 17th, right? But I also want to help build a bench of people after me who can run for many other offices, whether it's for county board or water reclamation district or even the ward committee people. So we can actually have a coalition of people that can do this work year-round. Not just me, but other people that will host these events and invite their neighbors and really get to know each other in a way that has not been done before. Because we all share a lot more in common than we think. It's just people don't really have spaces to gather together. And the salons for my race certainly do that. But it would be really helpful to everybody else in the Democratic Party to learn a little bit from me.
I understand, but I'm going to ask this again. So is there a new Democrat Party emerging? Because I think one of the party debates on why the Democrats lost the last election, we don't have to get into that. It seems like it spawned a lot of contempt for the Democrat Party. But do you think, from my perspective, there was a lot of false ideals that were sprayed onto the party politics, and then people just found out how fake it was. So I mean, is that something that changes, or is there really a new strand of Democrat? I understand being hopeful for that, and then obviously I see how you situate yourself in a way that is different from the kind of core political candidates or people in office. But is it really about redefining the party?
I think so. We are at this moment of basically the old guard versus the new guard, right? And the old guard takes corporate money. The old guard never shows up. The old guard does not talk to people outside of their same 10 people they've talked to forever. The new guard is really people like me who believe we can build a better future, but doing it in a completely different way. On the ground, organizing year-round, rejecting corporate money, doing things differently, and truly fighting, against the federal government and the status quo, because in a way, they share a lot of the same characteristics. They don't want new people involved. And there's plenty of people in the establishment here who cannot stand what I'm fighting for, because it is challenging all the old structures of the past of wait your turn. And we are not in normal times. We're in a really urgent moment as a country right now. And a lot of people that you talk to recognize that.
Sure.
They do not want the same old guard from 10 years ago. They want someone who is going to recognize the moment we're in and then build something different together.
Sure.
So yes, I think we are at this moment in the Democratic Party now where it's kind of splitting.
Okay.
People who want the change, and that I think that is growing, certainly in a place like the north side of Chicago here, the 6th District, but also we're seeing it around the country too. I mean, I look at people like the rise of Mamdani in New York, and even as he's just recently sworn in, in 10 days' time, there's a lot of progress that's being made. We saw it in Tennessee a couple months back with Afton Baines, a good friend of mine, swinging a district nearly 20 points in just a year because she invested so heavily in organizing on the ground and really gave people something to believe in too. So I have hope that when you elect better Democrats in the primary, 'cause that's where a lot of these fights are held, then people recognize that and they realize that we can absolutely have a better future. And in a place like Chicago and in Illinois, the Democratic primary is the fight. Because in our race, there's no Republican running. So whoever wins on March 17th will be your next state senator. And with a lot of love and a lot of votes, it'll be me.
Okay. Now, I got to ask one more question and then we'll wrap. Because I know it's been somewhat popular to like reject certain types of PAC or certain types of like influence, like in corporate or campaign finance, whatever. Is it actually possible to reject money that's circulating in politics?
Yes.
Like long term?
Yes. Because we are having a lot of people in our campaign, we are a 100% grassroots campaign. I don't take corporate money, I don't take APAC money, I don't take DMFI money, because I want to be rooted in the people who live here.
Sure.
And in a year's time, we have raised over $80,000, 100% grassroots, with an average donation of $100.
Sure.
Those are mostly people who have never donated to any campaign before.
Right.
And that's so inspiring to me to have people contribute money to me, but it's giving them something to believe in. And in a race like mine, it goes to very tangible things. It goes to pay my staff, it goes to buy signs, it goes to get great pieces of literature like this.
Yes.
You can run a really smart and lean campaign, but that's also ultimately why I want public financing of campaigns, because you should be able to run races based on your ideas, not whoever has the access to the wealthiest donors.
Okay. No, I completely understand. I agree with you in large part. Just we don't have one system on the planet that can reject high net worth or corporate influence. China, they reject corporate influence by nationalizing the sector. But and then obviously we live in one of the largest economies. We're sitting in one of the largest economies on the planet. But I think the core message or the kind of takeaway is that there is an opportunity to kind of mimic some of the things that you're doing, which is being far more grounded in the community, being more active, talking to the different constituencies, actually trying to reflect that versus being super detached from it. Is that kind of the core message?
Yeah, it is really all about meeting people where they are and listening to them. I don't hate corporations, right? Any business owner that I talk to understands the moment we're in, certainly with things like property taxes. A lot of our business owners here on our major corridors are spending up to $20,000 a month in rent.
Sure.
So when I talk about things like stabilizing property taxes and building more housing, it splits that property tax burden with more properties ultimately. And so they recognize that in my platform. It's understanding that we all have more nuance than we really think. But I want to continue to do the salons, right? To bring people together across all lines of the political spectrum. Because if we can continue to have this excellent system here in the state, we got to invite more people in. Sure. And that is something in this race that I uniquely will provide.
Okay. I love that. Okay, so Nick, I'm going to say your last name for everyone.
See if you got it.
Okay. It's Uniejewski.
You got it. We got the cheat sheet here for the people.
I know. So. Thank you. And then this is State Senate 6th District.
Right.
Am I saying that right?
The 6th State Senate District.
The 6th State Senate District in the Illinois General Assembly. Is that...
It's really wonky. I'm in the 6th District. I cover the neighborhoods like River North, Gold Coast, Old Town, Lincoln Park, Lakeview, Buena Park, where I live, Wrigleyville, Roscoe Village, North Center, Lincoln Square, and Ravenswood Manor. So if you live in any of those, check my website, nickforillinois.com. Find me on socials, Nick for Illinois. And then Election Day is March 17th.
Awesome. It's coming up soon.